it may not hurt you now in this series, obviously, against Dallas. I think it's really going to be a big blow going up against Florida.
But let's begin with the Edmonton Oilers taking a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Final at a major cost, possibly the biggest loss that a team has endured this postseason. If you don't know what Sam Reinhart's situation is, and you hope that Sam Reinhart isn't out for too long, he's questionable for Game 5. I do know that. So maybe, we're going to see Sam Reinhart again, we would think.
Mm-hmm.
It is very possible we are not going to see Zach Hyman again because he takes or in this postseason, because he takes a hit on the shoulder, arm-ish situation from Mason Marchment in the first period, does not return, does the thing. We've seen it before with players. They skate off the ice and it just kind of looks like they have one arm.
Yeah.
And the other one is just sort of along for the ride. I'm not a doctor. My first thought was shoulder subluxation.
Whoa, that's a big word.
It's like where I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm trying to remember back to my reporting days. It's basically like the arm kind of falls out.
Yeah.
Like
it's just shoulder separated.
It's a shoulder separation, and you can try to pop it back in, but that can only do so much.
Partial or incomplete dislocation of the shoulder joint where the head of the upper arm bone, humerus, partially slides out of the glenoid cavity.
I don't find anything humorous about it, Sean.
I've also seen people, and Oilers Nation, make sure you're following that account. I saw John Shannon say that it was a wrist injury.
Chat said wrist injury too. It did not look like wrist for me.
My only question is,
I'm not a doctor.
I'm not doubting anybody, but where'd you get the information from? Because I know Chris Knobloch didn't disclose what it was.
Right.
Nor should he.
Probably. I guess it doesn't matter if he's going to be out for the playoffs, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to clarify. You mean when you say biggest loss or biggest absence to overcome, like suffered in the playoffs, right?
That's what I said. Yeah. I phrased it in a way that protected against.
Doesn't include like Heiskanen or.
I assume that.
I forget how I phrased it, but I was careful to not make, because you could say that like not playing without Ekholm has been on paper was a bigger task than upcoming playing without.
I would say
Zach
Heiskanen
Hyman.
For Dallas anyway too.
Heiskanen big as well. So Oilers up 3-1 in the series, and Zach Hyman, per Chris Knobloch, getting surgery today or had surgery today. Let's hope it's successful. You always want a successful surgery. Unlikely to return in the playoffs. Here's what Zach Hyman has done this postseason. He's 5th on the Oilers in points with 11, but most notably has the most hits in the playoffs by 29. Zach Hyman leads the postseason with 111 hits. The next most hits is Moneybags himself, Mr. Sam Bennett, with 82. Then Luosterainen, then Podkolzin, then Bischel. Top 4, though, Oilers and Panthers players. And these two teams have seemed destined to meet each other and hit each other. And the boy that does the most hitting will now not be there.
15 hits away from the all-time playoff record, too.
6 hits away from his career high in a regular season. He has played 14 games this postseason.
15, right?
15, 14?
I think it's 15.
15.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And like, it may not hurt you now in this series, obviously against Dallas. I think it's really going to be a big blow going up against Florida, because you know how Florida plays, and like both in terms of the physicality hits wise, but also we know Zach Hyman loves to score right in that dirty area, and that's kind of where you're going to need to get goals from against the Panthers.
I will say we've sung a lot of praises of ESPN this postseason. Loved PK Subban's intro yesterday. It's a shame we're probably not going to have time to talk about it. I had meant to put VR goggles on him for that. Did you see the PK Subban intro?
No.
Absurd. Sean, did you see it?
Was it like wasn't it kind of like referencing his fashion shit? I forget exactly.
It was like showing shots of people wearing their clothes walking in, and PK doing like a playoffs.
Oh,
that time of year.
They've been running that every game.
Really when he says like, so go and take it, and walks off, and he I'd never seen that before.
Yesterday would have been the first time I turned the broadcast on before puck drop, if I'm being honest
Yeah,
with you.
they've been running that the entire series.
He looks like a trust fund magician. It was an insane video, and I wanted to put VR goggles on him for it, but alas.
That's one where he's like at like the Taylor sort of situation, and they reveal like the Western Conference Final like script that's etched into something.
I don't recall that part. I mainly remember player entrances and thinking he looks like a trust fund magician.
Okay.
But that is that. Where was I going with that? ESPN across the board was unaware that Corey Perry plays on the Oilers, that Corey Perry's the net front guy on the Oilers, which confused me. Ferraro said it, like everyone was saying it, and Knobloch on the bench was like, yeah.
He was asked about that by Emily, I believe.
Yeah, by Emily.
And then he was like, yeah, big loss, but like him and Perry are both those guys, and we'll just have Perry play on like both units or something.
So the reason I say that is we'd not talked about that, but the fact that he wasn't on that first unit anyway, and they're playing a 900-year-old guy instead of him, told me he was injured already. He was already hurt, or that he was taking such a toll by throwing his body around that they were giving him that break. So on the power play, at least, not a huge loss. But just as far as how physical he's been and the fact that he is fucking Zach Hyman. I don't know this for a fact. No one has told me anything like this, but my estimation of the Oilers has always been that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl lead with fear, which is not what I would do, but that's a style that some people use, and that Zach Hyman is the dad that comes home from work at the end of the day, and then everybody's it's a nice vibe, because after like mom's been yelling at everybody all day, Zach Hyman is the guy that kind of rounds that out into the nice family that it is. I could be completely wrong. Leon and Connor could be a bunch of softies. They don't strike me as that. Zach Hyman seems like the most captain-like person to not wear a letter in the NHL.
I would agree with that last statement. Yeah. I mean, like it's kind of unbelievable that he doesn't have a letter most nights. You're like, who is wearing one?
Yeah, but they have enough.
They have a lot of good players.
You can't have Nurse not wear one. You can't have Nuge not wear one. So now the Oilers must move on without Zach Hyman. Do you know, I tweeted this, and I did put it in the document because I was so excited. Do you know who leads the Oilers in hits per 60?
I would imagine Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman is third.
Damn. Okay. No, then I don't.
Vasily Podkolzin is second. Sean, could you do me the honors? Who leads the Oilers in hits per 60 this postseason?
Carolina Hurricanes and Buffalo Sabres legend Jeff Skinner.
Jeff Skinner with 26.78 hits per 60. Granted, he has played
one game,
11 minutes this postseason, but he leads the Oilers in 26.78 hits per 60.
Numbers never lie.
That is where we begin the Jeff Skinner part of this conversation, because at long last, you would think Jeff Skinner will return to the lineup. I will give you a refresher on Jeff Skinner. He is a Caucasian Canadian man who is a longtime NHLer, a big-time scoring wing. He famously took figure skating lessons when he was a kid, or was a figure skater, I should say.
Took a picture with Taylor Swift.
Took a picture with Taylor Swift.
Played Nerf guns with Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
So, one of the most fascinating guys in the NHL. Also has one of the best smiles in the NHL.
Talk show host.
Yes.
There's nothing this guy can't do except get into the Oilers lineup. 16 goals in 72 games in the regular season. His first with Edmonton. He finished the regular season very strong on a line with Connor Brown and Connor McDavid that people will forget. I asked Sean before. I was like, remember this? And he was like, not at all. People will forget that late in the season, the best line in hockey was Connor Brown, Connor McDavid, Jeff Skinner. And we were like, Chris Knobloch's kind of got to keep this going. Chris Knobloch said, the fuck I do. And he did not play them going into the postseason. He played Jeff Skinner for one game. Then he benched him. 11 minutes and 12 seconds to be exact. Then he benched him. And now Jeff Skinner has been toiling while Edmonton's depth in Jeff Skinner's or in Chris Knobloch's defense has been so good that you could not take Trent Frederic out of the lineup, even though I wanted to after game one of this series. You could not take Kasperi Kapanen out of the lineup. Victor Arvidsson also had been a healthy scratch all of this time, just returned to the lineup yesterday for game 4. So now it would seem would be Jeff Skinner's time. Before we get into how that looks and where you play him, how do you feel about Jeff Skinner after probably a month off, jumping back into the lineup for his second career postseason game when the stakes are as high as they could possibly be?
Let's be honest, he's not going to play. They're going to rush Matthias Ekholm back, and they're going to go 11-7.
So that was one of my things. Worth noting, you have to play Ekholm in game 5, I think.
I don't think you have to. I think that it would make a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. Like, you're down a forward, and you don't want to play Jeff Skinner, clearly. And I think that getting him up to speed a little bit in a situation where you can run 11-7, feel okay about it, feel like you've got some runway, give him limited minutes, see how he does, and then proceed from there, and then maybe give him a little break between, assuming that you win in 5 or 6, and then go to the break for the Cup final. It would make a lot of sense for Ekholm to slot back in if he's ready.
I don't think you want to have to do 11-7 in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final if that's not your want. WONT. And I don't think you want one of your best players first game back in like a couple of months to be game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. So I think you play him on Thursday in Dallas, and maybe that's an 11-7 thing, so you're not playing Jeff Skinner then. At some point, though, Edmonton will be back to 12-6, and that's when Jeff Skinner plays. And maybe if Brown is back, that also solves it, because Brown was out last game. Mm-hmm. So maybe they keep Arvidsson in for Hyman, and Connor Brown returns to the lineup. But if Jeff Skinner is playing and Brown is playing, and maybe you take Arvidsson out, do you do the Skinner, McDavid, Brown line, knowing it was very good late in the regular season, but also knowing that's kind of the opposite of what the Connor McDavid line has been of late? You don't have somebody throwing the body around the way that Zach Hyman has been. And perhaps most importantly, right now, the Oilers' best player, not named Stuart Skinner, might be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Oh, I don't think.
Do you take him?
Might.
Do you say he's better than McDavid
been their best
this
player
postseason?
in this series.
Or this series?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Do you split him up from Connor McDavid, though, when he's playing his best hockey? Do you fuck up his situation? Because I know that Chris Knobloch likes to have as little change as possible, which sounds wild for a guy who mixes up his lines a lot, but I think that he doesn't want to have one injury mean 10 things. I think he wants one injury to mean 2 things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not Chris Knobloch. I'm not really like a lines guy. I don't really have all that much interest in diving into the Edmonton Oilers line combinations. Plus, I got another game to win here. But I trust Knobloch. He's pushed most of the right buttons so far, and I trust him. I probably wouldn't separate Nuge and Connor while they're going so hot right now.
I think I wouldn't either. I think that if Brown is back, maybe I do Nuge, Connor, but we shall see. I will just say, like, we are not guaranteed Jeff Skinner returning.
Definitely
Which
not.
is the second saddest part of all this.
They might just like run with an empty lineup spot. Like, they might go 11-6 rather than play Jeff Skinner at this
Famously,
point.
Troy Stetcher played forward this season. Again, that game against the Kraken, remember?
That'd be so fucking funny.
Dude, I would make my whole personality.
Matthias Ekholm back. Also, Troy Stetcher now forward.
I would make my whole personality hating the Edmonton Oilers.
11-7, and one of the 11 is Troy Stetcher playing forward.
And also defense?
No. I'm saying like Emberson. I'm saying that they have like
because
Bouchard,
okay.
Wallman, Klingberg, Nurse, Emberson, Ekholm, and I don't know who I'm missing there. Probably somebody really good.
Did you say Bouch and Nurse?
Maybe. I forget.
I know what you're saying.
But then who the fuck am I forgetting? Anyway, then on top of the 7 they have playing, Stetcher is playing forward. So there's your 11 and 7, but really 10 and 8.
Did you say Klingberg?
Yeah.
Wallman?
Maybe. Okay, so Oilers now are in the situation maybe because Kane got hurt last night too. Kulak. Oh my God, how can I forget Kulak? What a pass yesterday to Kapanen. Unbelievable. Shout out to our guy who got the Kasperi Kapanen jersey. He thought he was going to be alone. Now everyone's going to buy Kapanen jerseys. I do feel bad for him.
I don't know if that's true.
I was going to say, I'm not sure.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure he's not alone.
Yes,
he may have been alone when he bought it.
That's what I'm saying. He went from being the only person with a Kapanen jersey to, I am sure by the end of this week, at least 5 people will unironically have purchased a Kasperi Kapanen jersey.
It's a long ways from everyone to 5 people.
Well, I was saying I said I went from alone to now other people are going to have it. He went from being the only
everyone.
I think you did suggest that it would be a lot of people.
Yes. Okay. I think that I was.
Which, to be fair, they are the just over 1 million. So I guess comparatively,
yeah,
it is a lot of people.
Percentage-wise.
5 is a lot of people.
That's right. Cap's going up.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Oilers in injury trouble now. Would you put them in the conversation we were just having with the Panthers, or is the Hyman injury? I say this very respectfully because Zach Hyman is my guy. Is that something a team can overcome and still win the Stanley Cup?
I think it is, but I think that it is, especially this year for the Oilers, who have just constantly been like next man up, the best depth that they've had in probably like this era of Oilers teams. But like if we're having the discussion around like the Panthers and their injuries and how it could affect them in the Stanley Cup final and their chances of repeating, I think it would be disingenuous to not have the conversation when it comes to Edmonton and what Zach Hyman means to the Oilers. Like he's a guy who does everything. He is a guy that is going to be pretty integral to the blueprint to beating the Panthers. So to having him out of the lineup, I think his absence is really going to hurt them.
I agree. Yes.
Breaking news, slightly related to this conversation. Reinhart, Mikkola, and Greer are all expected to play in Game 5.
Okay. Panthers getting healthy.
And the Panthers went back to Dairy Queen.
Went back to what?
Dairy Queen.
Say again?
Dairy Queen?
Oh, gotcha. I thought you were saying Derek
Oh,
Lee. I was
Pete's
like,
having a tough couple of shows with Dairy Queen talk.
I was left up bad and bougie? What? Excuse me?
Say again? Say again? Shout out DJ Wackademics.
That's my favorite interview of all time.
It's so fucking funny.
Joe Budden just getting up
Wrap
and
it up,
leaving.
man.
Just being like, get me out of here.
RIP takeoff.
We all silly like the mayor.